Do doctors normally inject a patient with a drug inside of a vehicle in a public parking lot? Do doctors hand over vials of drugs? Do doctors accept partial payments in all cash? When you're a celebrity, anything can happen. But did this really happen? Let's find out right now. Happy Terror Tuesday, my Cajun cuties. Yes, it's me, Anne Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carencro, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope after this video that you like, subscribe, and comment, and don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. I hope you have a beverage. I hope you have a snuggle partner or a snuggle fur partner. Those are the best. And you're ready to hear a true crime story with yours truly. And as always, I want to know, are y'all drinking that water? Are y'all staying hydrated? Are y'all getting those tickers up? Remember, just a quick 20-30 minute walk every day. Get those endorphins up first thing in the morning and you are going to have an amazing day. I promise you, you are going to feel great and you're going to start your day off right. And today we are going to be discussing a case that was highly requested by y'all. And today we are going to discuss this case in great detail. As we all know, Matthew Perry was found deceased in his jacuzzi at the age of 54 on October 28, 2023 by his assistant, Kenneth. Matthew Perry has struggled for decades with drugs and addiction. He says he spent millions trying to get help going in and out of rehabs. He had several surgeries and wanted to stay clean and sober. He says by the time he was the age of 14, he was a full-blown alcoholic. He says that he would be so desperate for pills sometimes that he would go to open houses at people's homes just to see what they had in their bathrooms. He wanted to remain clean and sober, but it was very hard. Matthew Perry was a drug addict for so many years. At the time of his death, Matthew Perry was receiving ketamine infusion treatment at a clinic. He was going once a week. At the time of Matthew Perry's death, he had had a ketamine infusion treatment 1 week prior to the time he was found deceased. When an autopsy was performed at the time of his death, they found large amounts of ketamine in his system. Officials knew there was no way that ketamine was still in his system from a week ago. Investigation started by the LAPD to find out, how did Matthew Perry get large doses of ketamine that eventually took his life? He was a beloved actor. He was a beloved star, very talented, a wonderful comedian. But why did Matthew Perry start taking large amounts of ketamine? And where did he receive these large amounts of ketamine? Who was giving him these large amounts of ketamine? In May of 2024, a full-blown investigation was started, and slowly, investigation started to see where he got the large amounts of ketamine. 5 people, including a woman known as the Ketamine Queen, faced federal charges in conspiracy that led to Friend star Matthew Perry's overdose death. The charges were announced Thursday morning as investigators say they uncovered an underground network of drug dealers and suppliers they allege are responsible for distributing the ketamine, a potentially deadly drug that killed Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry became extremely addicted to ketamine, so he turned to other doctors who were willing to supply him with large amounts of ketamine to inject at home. Allegedly, Dr. Salvador Placencia of Santa Monica, California, and Dr. Mark Chavez from San Diego were ordering ketamine for Matthew Perry. The doctor saw this as an advantage to profit off Matthew Perry. Dr. Placencia wrote in a text message in September of 2023, and I quote, "I wonder how much this moron will pay. He also stated that he wanted to be Matthew Perry's sole source of supply, and he wanted to be Mr. Perry's go-to for drugs. Y'all, these doctors knew the dangers of what they were doing. These doctors knew the dangers of ketamine. They knew what they were doing was wrong. But these doctors allowed greed to take over them. The only thing that doctors are supposed to care about is the health of their patients, trying to get their patients good and well. The last thing a doctor should be worried about is money. Doctors shouldn't care how much money they receive from a person that is trying to stay clean and sober. These doctors didn't care about Matthew Perry's health or his decades of struggle with addiction. All these doctors cared about was how much money they were going to make off of Matthew Perry. And how disgusting if allegedly, remember, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. But if Dr. Placencia allegedly said, I wonder how much this moron will pay. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. That's horrible on so many levels that a doctor, a person who is here to help and save people, would make that comment. These doctors were not good people. It was said that Dr. Placencia is accused of teaching Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth Awamasa, how to inject ketamine into Matthew Perry. Kenneth, Matthew Perry's personal assistant, was buying ketamine for Matthew Perry. Kenneth Awamasa has been arrested in connection to Matthew Perry's death and has pled guilty. It was also said that on October 10th, 2023, Dr. Placencia met Matthew Perry and his personal assistant, Kenneth, in a public parking lot in Long Beach, California, where Dr. Placencia injected ketamine into Matthew Perry inside of the vehicle. Then Dr. Placencia hands over large amounts of vials to Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth. And Dr. Placencia also received a huge partial payment in all cash for buying the ketamine for Matthew Perry. Now, I know what y'all are all saying, the same thing I'm saying. Who goes to a public parking lot and injects a patient with a drug inside of a vehicle? Like, who does that? I never heard of that. As y'all all know, I work with doctors every day. Every single day. I'm a home health rep. I'm around doctors every day. I've never heard of that happening. Never. To me, that's just unsanitary. You're going to go to a public parking lot inside of a vehicle and you're going to inject somebody. But we also have to understand this. You know, every time I dig into a case, I always try to see both sides. I don't want to just be like, boom, the person's guilty. Matthew Perry is a celebrity. I'm not a celebrity, so nobody's going to go to a parking lot to inject me with anything. But maybe celebrities have done that because they can't just walk into a hospital. They can't just walk into a clinic without getting swarmed by people. So could this happen? Yes. Is it likely? No. But I'm not a celebrity. But maybe celebrities have done this. So a patient could be injected in their vehicle so no one sees them. Yes, it could happen, but it's not likely. But Matthew Perry was a drug addict. Did Dr. Placencia know that? I'm sure he did. Because if you're buying large amounts of ketamine, in my opinion, he knew Matthew Perry was not sober. Dr. Placencia knew the danger of what he was doing. He knew what he was doing was wrong. It was said on one occasion that Dr. Placencia injected ketamine into Matthew Perry, and all of a sudden Matthew Perry froze up and his blood pressure spiked. Despite this happening, it was said that Dr. Placencia left additional vials of ketamine with Matthew Perry's assistant, Kenneth Awamasa. It was also said that in mid-October, Dr. Placencia discussed Matthew Perry with a patient and said that Matthew Perry was spiraling out of control with his addiction to ketamine. Dr. Placencia knew that Matthew Perry was an addict. Despite hearing all of this and saying all of this and witnessing Matthew Perry freeze up and his blood pressure spiking, he continued to give ketamine to Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth Awamasa. It was said that Dr. Placencia denies this and is pleading not guilty to all charges. Dr. Mark Chavez pled guilty and is cooperating with the investigation. Dr. Chavez is convinced he and Dr. Placencia were doing something wrong. It was said that Dr. Chavez sold ketamine that he had previously obtained by writing a fraudulent prescription to Dr. Placencia, who then sold it to Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth Awamasa, who has admitted to injecting Matthew Perry 3 times on the day he passed away. Dr. Placencia discussed opening up a ketamine clinic with Dr. Chavez, and Dr. Chavez agreed but said as long as everything is done legally, no shady stuff. Dr. Placencia responded with, "Oh, so you don't agree with what I'm doing?" And Dr. Chavez stated, "It's not if I agree, it's about what's legal to the California State Board and the DEA." Dr. Chavez knew what they were doing was 100% wrong, and that is why he pleaded guilty. Dr. Chavez, to me, sounds like a weak link. Dr. Chavez, if what he is saying is true, it sounds like allegedly Dr. Placencia talked him into doing this ketamine situation with Matthew Perry. Dr. Placencia, in my opinion, maybe said to himself, I need somebody to help me. I can't get all this ketamine by myself. So maybe, this is Anne Marie's opinion, maybe Dr. Placencia turned to Dr. Chavez to help him obtain more of the drug of ketamine. And right now, I want to discuss Matthew Perry's assistant. Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth Awamasa, has been with Matthew since 1994. He was with Matthew for almost 30 years. He was his live-in personal assistant. So Kenneth had a front row seat to Matthew Perry's struggles with addiction. He had been with Matthew Perry from day one in 1994 when Matthew Perry started on the show Friends. And as we all know, Matthew Perry stated that at the time of filming Friends, he was at the peak of his addiction with alcohol, pills, drugs. Matthew Perry was in and out of rehab, and Kenneth saw everything that Matthew Perry went through. Why didn't Kenneth, who was with Matthew Perry for almost 30 years, deny ketamine to him? Why did Kenneth agree to inject Matthew Perry? Why didn't Kenneth maybe have an intervention, maybe call Matthew's mom, dad, Matthew Perry's stepdad, whom we all know, Keith Morrison? Why didn't Kenneth do something? Why didn't he look at Matthew Perry and say, you know what? You're not just my boss. You're not just my friend. You are like my family. And I'm not going to watch you do this to yourself. I'm not going to watch you spiral out of control and go back into your addiction. Why didn't Kenneth stop Matthew Perry? Yes, maybe Matthew would be upset at first, but one day Matthew Perry would thank him for not allowing him to go down the road of addiction once again. Kenneth knew exactly all of Matthew Perry's struggles with addiction. He saw it all, and he still did nothing about it. Not only did he do anything about it, he bought the ketamine, it was said. He supplied it to Matthew Perry, it was said, and he injected it into Matthew Perry on the day he passed away, it was said. So why did Kenneth not stop this? Why didn't Kenneth tell someone? Why didn't Kenneth go to Matthew Perry and say, you can fire me if you want, but there's no way I'm going to be responsible for putting you back into your addiction? Matthew Perry was his boss, though. He absolutely was the boss. So did Kenneth just have to listen to what Matthew Perry said? On October 4th, 2023, it was said that Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth, texted Dr. Placencia that he had successfully injected Matthew Perry with ketamine and he needed to buy more Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper is a code word for ketamine. Kenneth tells Dr. Placencia that he will go and pick it up to make it convenient for him. It was also said between October 24th and October 27th of 2023, Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth, injected Matthew Perry with ketamine shots 6 to 8 times a day. It was also said that Kenneth, Matthew Perry's personal assistant, found Matthew unconscious at least twice. Now, if you're seeing your boss, your friend, who you have been working for almost 30 years, unconscious on 2 occasions, why would you still administer the drug? Why would you still administrate the drug to Matthew Perry if you found him unconscious at least twice? To me, that makes no sense at all. You are supposed to protect your friends. You are supposed to love your friends. He's not just your boss if you've been with him for 30 years. He's like family. And even after finding him unconscious twice, you are going to still inject him? That's horrible, y'all. That is horrible. But another thing that we also have to think about, was Kenneth afraid, if I don't do this, I'm going to lose my job? Because as we know, we all have jobs and we do what we're told. We can't just make up rules or say no when our boss tells us something. But in my opinion, when you're working with someone for almost 30 years and you had a front row seat to their problems, their struggles, their addictions, they're not just your boss anymore. But nevertheless, Kenneth kept injecting Matthew Perry with the drug ketamine. But did Kenneth know that it would have killed Matthew Perry? No, I do not think that Kenneth intended for this drug, ketamine, to take Matthew Perry's life. It was said on October 28th, 2023, the day Matthew Perry was found deceased in his hot tub, that his personal assistant, Kenneth, had injected him with ketamine 3 times that day. It was said that Matthew Perry told Kenneth, shoot me up with the big one. His personal assistant, Kenneth, then filled the syringe with ketamine and injected Matthew Perry, who was in or near the hot tub that day. It was said after that Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth, went run errands, not knowing that when he returned around an hour later, that Matthew Perry was going to be deceased in the hot tub. Now, you had already found your boss. It was said he found his boss on 2 separate occasions unconscious, and you are going to inject him with ketamine in a hot tub of all places, and you're going to leave? You are going to inject this man that you love with a drug inside of water, and you're going to leave and go run errands. That's insane to me. That's crazy to me. You don't know what can happen. And if you're scared that if you don't administer this drug to your boss, that he is going to fire you, then why not say, okay, let me do this. I don't want to get fired, but I'm just going to sit here and watch him so nothing happens. I'm not going to leave him in a hot tub and go run errands. You don't do that. But Kenneth did not think that Matthew Perry was going to pass away from ketamine. Look how many times he had given the drug to Matthew. It was said several times a day Kenneth would administer the drug to Matthew Perry. So why on this day did Matthew Perry pass away? Was it because he was in the hot tub? Was it just too much ketamine? And in my opinion, that assistant feels horrible about what he did to not only his boss, but his friend. And in my opinion, that's why Kenneth pled guilty and is cooperating with investigation. It was also said that Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth, was buying ketamine from Eric Fleming and Jasmine Sanya, the so-called ketamine queen. It was also said that Eric Fleming was an acquaintance of Matthew Perry, and he allegedly helped obtain ketamine for Matthew Perry, including giving Kenneth 50 vials of ketamine. And Jasmine Sanya, aka the ketamine queen, is accused of selling Matthew Perry a batch of ketamine. And it was also said that allegedly Jasmine, aka the ketamine queen, instructed Eric Fleming on October 28, 2023 to delete all of the text messages they allegedly wanted to distance themselves from Matthew Perry. It was also said that Kenneth bought ketamine from two doctors as well as Eric Fleming and Jasmine Sanya, aka the ketamine queen. It was said that Jasmine sold 50 vials of ketamine to Kenneth for $11,000 in cash. The doctors, Eric Fleming, and the ketamine queen saw this as an opportunity to profit off of Matthew Perry. When officials searched Jasmine's house, aka the ketamine queen, they found 80 vials of ketamine, thousands of pills containing meth, cocaine, bottles of Xanax, and drug-selling paraphernalia, such as scales. Y'all, as we all know, Jasmine Sanya, aka the ketamine queen, is pleading not guilty and is being held without bond. If you have this many drugs in your home at one time, this is crazy and insane. How is Jasmine going to explain all of that found in her home? In my opinion, even though she is pleading guilty, if it is true all of this was found in her home, she is going to do some time, some real time in prison. After Matthew Perry's death, Dr. Placencia falsified medical records and notes to try to make it look like what he was doing was legit, but it wasn't. He was trying to cover his tracks. Eric Fleming and the ketamine queen are trying to hurry and delete text messages. No one was worried about Matthew Perry, just themselves after his death. And in 2019, Jasmine Sanya, aka the ketamine queen, sold ketamine to another customer, and that person died the same day. A family member of that person sent a message to Jasmine Sanya, telling her the cause of death was ketamine. Nonetheless, Jasmine continued selling drugs, including ketamine, including the ketamine that allegedly killed Matthew Perry. She was so concerned that she Googled, "Can ketamine be seen as the cause of death?" It was said that Jasmine Sanya pled not guilty to all charges and is being held without bail. These dirty doctors and this Eric and Jasmine, the AKA ketamine queen, had no concern over the fact that Matthew Perry was lying deceased in a funeral home. And what are they doing? What are they doing? They were worried about text messaging. They worried about falsifying records. They worried about Google. Can ketamine be the cause of death? This is what they are doing when someone just passed away, they didn't think to themselves, oh my gosh, this person passed away because of me and I feel bad for taking the life of this beloved friend star, this wonderful, talented actor. No, all they cared about was themselves. All they cared about was how much money they can receive, what they can get out of this, how they can profit from Matthew Perry. Matthew Perry was a drug addict. There's no question about that. And instead of helping this beloved actor, instead of putting him on the right path, these dirty doctors contributed to his addiction because all they want to do was make money. They let their greed take over. And the ketamine queen, all she cared about was herself. All she wanted to do was make money. And when I searched her and I saw her picture, what a gorgeous, beautiful woman that got caught up in all of this. And if she did this, remember, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, she is going to do some time in prison. I'm telling you. I said it earlier. If this is all true, the ketamine queen is going to face serious time in prison, which if she did all of this, she should. My final thought, I always give y'all my final thought. And my final thought is, I believe that these dirty doctors let money and power take over them. Their greed for money took over them. And if they are found guilty, and if they are convicted in connection to Matthew Perry's death, they will lose their medical license and they will go to prison for a long time. So you have to say to yourself, all the time I spent in college, in medical school, all the times I thought I was helping people, I'm sitting here in prison in connection to the death of an actor because all I cared about was money. I didn't care about protecting anyone. As a doctor, you are supposed to protect and care about your patients, not send them spiraling out of control with a drug addiction. And as I always say, yes, money will make your life easier, but money will not make you happy. You still have a conscience. And these doctors are still going to say to themselves, I cannot believe I did this for money. For money. You took someone's life over money. But a lot of people in this world become addicted to money, power, and greed. And they don't want to give that up, such as the ketamine queen. All she had to do was sell drugs. And if she was selling drugs, it was easy for her. It was an easy fix just to receive thousands of dollars of cash like that. No one deserves to pass away from an addiction. No one deserves to pass away because they are so addicted to a drug that they can't get over it. And you have people around you, yes, people that are telling you it's okay to do this. People that are supposed to be protecting you every day. It's not the right thing to do. But in some cases, people take the wrong path. And in this case, Matthew Perry, who was a beloved actor, took the wrong path. And he decided to keep on with his addiction, taking ketamine. Matthew Perry's personal assistant, Kenneth, in my opinion, is the worst one out of this situation. Because like I said earlier, he had a front row seat to Matthew Perry's addiction and still kept giving Matthew Perry injections of ketamine. Matthew Perry's family released a statement. It states, "We were and still are heartbroken by Matthew's death, but it will help to know law enforcement has taken his case very seriously. We look forward to justice taking its course." And just yesterday, Matthew Perry celebrated his 55th birthday. So I would like to wish Matthew Perry a very happy birthday. As we all know, addiction is real. The struggles of addiction are real. And there are always places that can help with your addiction. If you struggle with addiction, there is always a place or a person you can call to receive help. I'm always here for you. And I want to thank you all for joining me tonight on Terror Tuesday. I hope after this video that you like, subscribe, and comment. And don't forget to press on that notification bell so you never miss a video from me, Anne Marie. As always, stay safe. Always be aware of your surroundings. Always know that I'm here for all of you. And I want to thank you all for the love and support. And for you, I am truly grateful. I love you all. I hope you have a good night, and I will see y'all tomorrow night on Wicked Wednesday. Have a good night. Bye.